All right, good evening. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Alexander Board of Education. If I could call the meeting to order and roll call, please.
Stephen?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Blake?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
If everyone would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I need a motion to adopt the agenda, please.
Second.
Stephen?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Blake?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Reports and comments. Superintendent's report.
All right, I have a few things to talk about this evening. Um, First off, the community eligibility program. As we start the school year, this is be an important change for our parents, families. This allows us to issue a free lunch and breakfast to all of our kids. That is the base meal, the meal that you would get every day. If your child is in junior high and they eat continually, anything beyond that is going to be an expense to the family. So we will give them a complete tray, a complete meal, but if they want seconds, they go back. That's going to be something that our family that our family's going to have to pick up. We're excited to do this. Food insecurity and making sure that our kids are well fed is really important. A kid not having an opportunity to have breakfast before the start of school can really impact their day and their ability to learn. So we're excited to be part of the program. We don't know the full impact of the cost yet until we put it into play. So we'll have better information on that probably mid-year, see where those numbers fall, and then maybe reassess, or not reassess, but just kind of understand it, understand what our costs are going to be a part of this. So I don't know. Christy, you're here. If there's anything that you'd like to add, I'm going to put you on the spot. You go right ahead. Push a button.
Making me do all kinds of stuff today. It's a great thing, and I think that I'm hoping for additional participation. One thing that I did find out, if our direct certs increase this year, we can reapply to get a higher percentage of reimbursement. So I'll keep running that every month to see if that changes. So that is something that we can put in the back of our minds. And again, with the lunches, yes, the first reimbursable is covered by CEP. But if they're wanting chips or anything like that for middle school, high school, that would be at the cost. They can still put money on the accounts, and the kids can then purchase from that, or they can bring money in and we can put it on the account for them. If anyone has any questions about how to put money on the account, they can just call in the cafeteria and I can walk them through it. I actually made myself an account so that I had the ability to walk people through it. If they have any questions, they can always ask me anything. So.
Is it different putting money on the account than it has been previous?
No. Yep.
Also, Christy's up here. She reminded me we still need our families to complete the paperwork and the information. We still need that information submitted. Just because our lunches and breakfasts are free for all, we still need that information, and that's really important in this process. So we'll be after our building administrators to make sure that we get all of that in.
Yep, so the form will look a little bit different. It won't be the free and reduced lunch application. It will be an income form. So it's just going to be one page versus the multiple page that they normally will get. Okay.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate you willing to be on the spot. The OCR athletic update. We received word a few weeks ago that the Ohio Civil Rights Commission, this is with our complaint that was filed through the Ohio Civil Rights Commission about girls basketball or girls athletics being equal to and having the same opportunities as boys. We are through the first hurdle in that they have accepted our statements. They're asking for some revisions, and we're going to be working with our council to make those revisions. It's still kind of fluid. I feel that our information was solid. We had a lot of really good information in there. There are some other details that they want, so we're still working through that process. Our safety grants, now this is something that we can talk about. There's been conversation, at least within the building, and I'm not sure if you know what a vestibule is, but if there were a way, and this is all rooted in student safety, if there were ways to build vestibules at each end of our building. And a vestibule is kind of like a check-in area where you bring in, if I walk in to pick up my child, I first go into the vestibule before I can enter into the building. We are a very secure facility, but the vestibule concept is newer than our facility. And so this is something that we were talking about looking into. To do that, there's work we have to do on the front end. There's a COPS grant that is out there, and it's COPS. It's not for cops, but that's just an acronym. It comes available again in the spring. It's a matching grant. I believe it's 3-to-1, where we would contribute a third of the cost, if I'm doing my math, and they would match that a fourth, and they would match it 3 times. It's a competitive grant, so I mean you're competing against other schools and entities, but we would have an investment up front in trying that process of around $17,000 to have architects draw plans, because that is a part of the application process. I have just the first details. I can come back in the next board meeting. We can talk more in detail about what we're looking at. But this is a sizable investment. If you think of, from my experience in Marietta, we were a couple $100,000 or more in just one vestibule. So we're talking about a fairly sizable chunk of money into the school. Now, if we can qualify for that grant, we can really offset the costs. But I'll bring more information at our next meeting. I know Mark and I have been talking a little bit about this. And Mark, you've been more in at the lower levels. If you've got anything you want to add to what I've already contributed, come to the mic, man. It's going to be that night.
So I've been working on the safety plan and the physical safety of the school along with IT security in the school for about 5 years now, dealing with the safety plans. Basically, right now, if our secretaries let somebody in the building, they are in the building. Somebody comes up, rings the doorbell, the office, tries to vet over the camera who they are. As soon as they trigger the lock, that person is in the building. Oftentimes, they will not go to the office and they will just continue on in the building with whatever they want to do. We have to go, send somebody to go get them back to the office, find out what they really want. So that vestibule would be the line of defense where the secretaries can really vet a person, and when they do let them in the building, they would only be in the office, not in the general part of the building. And that's what we're looking at trying to accomplish. If you were to go to Nelsonville, to go in the school there, you're going to go over to Athens. When you enter Athens as a school, the main door that gets into the school is locked, and you enter into an office. And that's what the purpose of this grant would be. There's a lot of footwork to it. So anytime you alter the exterior of the building, you're also altering where are fire pole stations, where is exterior lighting, because there's requirements for exterior lighting at the exit of the building. So there's a lot of architectural things that go into it, not just throwing up a wall and putting a door in it and all that. So it's pretty complex. I saw this grant come out in the spring and talked to Kimberly and Will about it. And so we're just kind of in the early planning stages for it, but it is a sizable investment to get ready to apply for the grant that we may or may not get. But I think for the safety of our safety and security, physical safety and security of our building, it's a good idea. Eventually, we need to get there. So, questions?
So we're looking at just an entrance during like school hours. This like when kids get dropped off at school, they don't all have to file through the office. They would still go through their regular entrance. This is just talking the parent that comes to drop off a lunch or something like that. They go
Correct.
through this
Yes,
entrance.
correct.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And we're looking at putting it one on each end or something like in the middle, like one in the middle. Is
I
it-
would
that's
think
the-
one on each end, because if
one
we
on
put
each
it in the middle, they're gonna have to go to either
Right.
end.
I was just
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it would be 2 for each of the main entrances. Good. All right. One thing that's off topic, and it's not on my agenda, is we were talking about the roof for the elementary school. And Mr. McCollum's here this evening and talk about that. We are kind of we're on schedule with our forecast as to when this is to be due. And I don't know, Brian, if you want to talk a little bit more about the needs and the process. What we've done is this has been bid out through Meta, which is a group that we're a part of. They provide our student database services. They also provide some other services to us. But they are a bidding service for us in like buses and other types of actions. And so, Brian, if you want to talk about the roof.
Yeah, I don't know how far back you want to go in the story, but I'll go back a little ways. So ever since the building's been built, we've had roof leaks. Ms. Perez and 225 has leaked forever. So this is all my roof repair quotes, right? Every time they came. So I called them all the time. It was done by Firestone is the roof. It's a modified bitumen, rolled rubber, seamed with each other. So I always called them every time it leaked. They came out. They had a guy sit in a classroom one day and on a roof with a water hose, never found a leak. And it's really hard to find a leak on this roof. So long story short, the warranty ran out. I started calling companies to come out because I wanted the through-wall scupper boxes go through the block. And they was actually about maybe 2.5 inches by 9 inches. I wanted them bigger, and I thought that's where all of our problem was. So this company was the only company that I could get to make the scupper boxes bigger. They did an infrared test of the roof, so we're completely dry at the elementary now. Now, just so you know, down the road, there is wet spots at the high school. It's not coming through, but the insulation's wet underneath the roof. So my plan was to completely restore that one with a 20-year warranty and then start working towards the other ones, because I know it's a huge, huge roof, and it's very expensive. So if we break it in sections, right, we could save us a little bit of money instead of throwing it all out there at once. So, like I said, Ms. Perez is happy. This is the first time she's been in that classroom that it hasn't leaked. I change ceiling tiles all the time, and actually she didn't have ceiling tiles for quite a while, but once I got these scupper boxes fixed, she didn't have a leak. I put it in there. I've been trying for, 18 years? Ever since I've been here, I've been trying. It's been that long. But like I said, when it's under warranty, all you can do is call in a leak request. And they come out, and they spray, and they try different things. And them scupper boxes, they kept getting smaller because they kept putting mastic in there, and they shrinking them, and mastic and shrinking them. So once the warranty was up, I found this company. Like I said, I called like 5 different places. The only people I could come to get the cut block and redo the scupper boxes was this company. And then from that point, we haven't had a problem. So what they're proposing to do is do a coating on it. They're not pulling anything off. It's a low odor, no smell, won't interfere with anybody. They do a couple of coats. There's like a primer coat and 3 coats, and it's a 20-year warranty. Come back every year to do a visual inspection. And this is only the second story, right? So it's 33,000 square feet. So if you want to go on, there's a whole bunch of roofs. But like I said, I was going to start there and then start moving. I'm going to go through the high school hallways, the second worst because we infrared tested everything. So I was going to work on that one and then just keep poking away at roofs. Any question? Yeah.
When you said Mrs. Perez is not leaking now,
And no, none of that, not,
anything leaking down there now?
no.
So
So,
the roof is doing good right now.
yes. So actually, the first time that I had it infrared test, because they wouldn't do anything until they infrared tested the first time, was March of 24. No, maybe 23. 23? March of 23, they came in infrared test. There was wet spots. Perez's room was wet. 225 was wet. By the stairwell and the back playground was wet. So then came up with a plan. I told them I wanted to do discover boxes. Fixed everything. They just come back and they infrared tested the entire facility, and that would have been April? I think April of this year. The elementary is completely dry. They won't do any restoration unless it's dry. So they have to infrared test it before. So it's completely dry. So that's the reason why I was going to go for this process, to get it dried out, make sure it stays dry, and be good for 20 years. And then, like I said, move on to the other ones. So as of right now, it's dry.
Brian, it's a, more like a recoating is
Yes,
what we're getting.
yes, correct. And so they're not ripping any of the modified bid up because, I mean, we'd be millions of dollars to do that. So what they do is they come in, they put some primer coat, and like 2 or 3 coats of this epoxy. And that roof, the modified bid goes up onto the sidewalls and then over the cap. So all of that would be coated.
And for them to do that, though, it has to be dry.
The roof, yes, they will not do anything unless the roof's dry. So means we just did the infrared test in April. They can do that now.
But they wouldn't touch the high school because.
No,
we
won't
had
do a thing.
leaks.
Not
Right.
until it's dry.
Okay.
So just so you know, my plan is, there was one room, Tie-Hole Cross room, leaked at the high school. When I did the scupper boxes down there, I did Tie-Hole Cross room because he had a leak every once in a while. And I also did Jordan Hill's room in the 7th grade hallway. Since I'd done them, neither one of them have leaked. So my thought is to make all of the through-wall scupper boxes bigger, because they actually put like a saddle where the water will go down in them, right, to get it out. Instead of being like flush or an upswing, so they build like a saddle and then it goes out to the thing. It works great down there. So I was going to start doing through-wall scupper boxes because ideally, and then they won't do anything until that's dry, and then we can go from there.
Okay.
But like I said, none of them rooms down in the high school leak, but it shows insulation moisture underneath the insulation.
Okay.
And if you want, I have the scans on an email. I'll forward them, and they forward. You can kind of look at them,
I
and you
wouldn't
get
know what I
an,
was
you can get
looking
an
at.
idea of where it's wet, right? Some places are not wet. Cafeteria, not wet. Kitchen's not wet. So there's a lot of places not wet. And the 6th and 7th grade is actually the only pitched roof on this whole place, if you've never been up there, right? So that's the way all of it should have been done. Most of it's flat, except 6th and 7th grade is pitched. So that's not wet. So, like I said, there's places that aren't wet, but the high school hallway is the worst. So I was going to focus on that next. It's just a very long, time-consuming project. Because I called multiple people. People come out and look, never send me a quote, right?
When was our warranty up?
It would have been 4 years ago. I'd have to. Same time. It was all the same time. Yeah. So, yeah, I'd have to go look and tell you that,
That's fine.
honestly.
So roughly 15-year
Yeah,
warranty.
right.
Okay, and we're at 20?
Yes.
Okay. And the original lifespan of the roof is obviously now. But I was
I
wondering
mean,
what-
I'd love to get more, right? I mean, you could try, you can clean debris, and I want more out of everything, but that's just me. But, you know, you can only, like I said, what, if you want to go back a long way, somebody actually put a piece of 1x4 above that roof in Mrs. Perez's room. She called me, the ceiling tile. They put a piece of 1x4 with a tote above the ceiling. It was before me. So, needless to say, when she called and said the ceiling tile was out, I stood on a filing cabinet holding a tote. It didn't go very well, just so you know.
Okay.
So, it was completely full. It was a 45-gallon tote full of water. It soaked me, and by the time, I mean, I was trying to get it down, it was just too heavy, and
Yeah.
and the ceiling grid's only aluminum, it buckled on me, but that tells you how bad her room leaked for years. So,
Yeah, a flat roof it's not ideal.
it's not, but it's what we have.
Yeah.
So we just gotta,
Well,
it,
okay.
we did that roof on the wood shop, and I think that was, I don't know, 500, 600,000 to do that pitch roof on that wood shop in that band area. It was expensive, but
And then the little 20-year warranty?
20 years. They do an annual inspection,
Okay.
20-year warranty.
So they'll inspect it annually, and if there's a problem, they'll fix it?
Correct,
Okay. Okay.
correct.
Yeah, that's one thing I know Mr. Hampton and I, we discussed. I mean, it's hard to believe, as beautiful as our facility is, that it's 20 years old.
Yeah.
And kudos to you and everyone.
Thank
I mean,
you.
You
Yeah.
walk into this facility, and my oldest daughter, who's 28 now, I mean, I think she started 3rd grade here. And so when I sit there and do the math, it's like 20 years have passed by, but yet the school still looks
Right.
brand new.
Yeah, I mean, we try hard, and then it takes, and the worst part is, everything was put in at the same time. Mr. Hampton and I had this discussion, right? So
all
things
gonna
are
go-
starting
yeah.
to fall apart at
Yeah.
the same time, right? And unfortunately, if I can just keep up with it, right? So I did one chiller renewal and working on the second one, so that way we can get another 10 or 15 years.
So the good news is, our building, it's paid for.
Yes.
We've paid that debt off, and same way if you owned a house,
Correct.
if you're going to have 20 years of a mortgage when you get it paid off, well, now you've got a 20-year-old house that you're going to have to start repairing.
Right.
And
It's
that's
just-
where we're at
Right,
today.
it is where we're at.
Okay.
Anything else?
Good question?
You said we have an estimate for the elementary,
Yes, that's the only estimate you have. That's just the elementary.
and that was 600.
Yeah, 660.
And we had this in the budget, the capital plan. Was it in there for 600 though? Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, on that capital stuff, right, honestly, I kind of just estimate because I never done it before, so. Anything else? Huh? Well, it's not bad. I mean,
Yeah.
or bad because you start buying things and you start seeing the prices. I'm like, okay, this is going to cost me this, right? So then it's just, you're right, today's economy, it's just how things are.
And quotes they're not valid as long anymore, so this is something that we would have to make a decision on.
And just so you know, they're at Marietta College right now, doing Marietta College,
Okay.
going to finish up. And the plan is if we proceed, they're going to come here and knock it out before winter hits. If we don't, then we'll just go on. But I don't know. I didn't read. I honestly,
Like bus quotes are now good
they didn't date it.
30 days or so. They used to be good for 90 days.
Yeah, I can't say. I can't remember that. I didn't really pay that close of attention. So. But it was sent to the attorneys. They went through it, right? So everything is. It was through the consortium state minimum pricing. So if you go quote anybody else the same thing, you're going to get this exact same price.
Okay.
So
So while I have you here, I'll put you on the spot. So what's the plan for the rest of the roof? Because you said it's got issues, so.
Yeah, my
just
next
like
plan-
time frame wise, I mean,
Well-
what are we looking at for replacing the rest of it or repairing?
probably we're going to go out of winter. It'll probably be a next fiscal budget. I'm going to try to start working on the high school wing because that's out of all of the infrared scans, that's the worst one that's left. And because I want to focus on the worst first and then move out from there. But ideally, over the next, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, you'd like to at least get the entire thing done by that time, right?
How many phases would that
Well,
be?
the way that I broke it down was like 5 more phases. I broke it down to like 6
Okay.
because they would mostly be about the same surface area. This is 234,000 square foot building. This building is, if you take away the elementary upstairs. So I figured like 6 segments would break it down another 4 or 5 years depending.
Okay.
Like I said, your winter kind of kills you. Weather would kill you.
Mm-hmm.
But there is weatherproofing coming up next year for the split face block, so, and it's not gonna be cheap, just so you know. And there's blacktop coming up, that's another major expense, right? It's every 3 on blacktop, every 10 on the split face block, so,
The protective coating.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We've already lived through a couple of the
Huh?
blacktop resurfaces.
I think both are next year, I think that's what I had in my forecast, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm estimating 130 to do, spray the block.
Okay.
It was about 80 the last time, if I remember, 70 to 80 the last time. It's not cheap.
I know Josh and I just made a comment that we've been through at least 2 blacktop resurfacing.
Yeah, it's every 3 years.
Yeah, and it looks beautiful
Yes.
when it's done, but and as expensive as it is, it's cheaper than grinding up.
It really
the
is.
existing
I mean,
parking lot
if
and
you
putting
go
it
to
in.
like Kroger's or where they have the Social Security office, right, when they let that thing just fall apart, it was like driving in Swiss cheese, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you can't do that here. I mean, I try not to do that here, so that's why we do it every 3. But
Okay,
anything else?
very good.
Okay.
Thanks, Brian.
But I think that's it for the moment for that. Before I get on to the last thing, I want to say if you did not attend any of the orientations or open houses that we've had, they were really well attended, well organized, and very well received. All the reports that I received and the exit polls, if you will, were positive. And I don't know if you've heard anything. But parents and kids seem excited. There's a different kind of excitement for a junior high and high school kid than there is for an elementary kid. Elementary kids want to hug and talk to everyone, and your junior high kids, they don't want you even to acknowledge them, but you can see in their eyes and you can feel it in how they're moving around that they're excited to get started. So I want to thank all the administrators who put all their time into that and made it go very, very smoothly. The last piece is, it's not last but least, but this is really important, a significant thing for us. The Porter family has donated $8,000 to the district to cover all of the entrance fees for all of our kids, our Alexander kids, into our athletic events. Now, that is wonderful and remarkable and a huge statement of their support of our community. We're very appreciative. I'm very appreciative, and we're hoping that this really brings our kids out. They get to experience those games and those contests and just be with people. The more you can get these kids together in those kind of moments, one, it may build the interest in those sports and those activities. 2, it just shows commitment of the school spirit and all of that. The second thing that I want to say about that is if you see Mrs. Lucas, you need to give her a kudos. And I mean that because she is the one who has been driving this. It was her initiative that sparked this, and she drove it, and the Porter family stepped up and made a huge contribution. So both of those folks, really big part of the community and have done some remarkable work there.
Yeah, I'd like to just say, obviously, thank you to the Porter family, but just last week, if you attended the Athens County Fair, you will see the Porter family there supporting the fair and buying the animals from the kids. They have donated advertising, if you want to call it donation, but they've paid for advertising here at the district. And it's just not our district. It is all throughout the Southeast Ohio that they represent. So I'd like to thank them for continuing to think of Alexander, and they're a big supporter of Southeast Ohio. So thank you.
In regard to that, there, just a sidebar to this, there's House Bill 147 on that. That just came out, and I should have talked about this earlier, but it is making us change some of our prices for admission. Our prices now have to be different for adults and for students. I get it. I understand. We'll make the adjustment and we'll move on. But just something that we've got to act on here.
Listening, like Jerry and
Yes.
Ms. Ball, who's a frequent ticket taker.
Yeah.
Can you give him a little bit of background on Just a 30,000-foot view of what the difference is going to be, because we charge
I
the same
believe
price.
we're
for-
at we're at $6 for adults and we're at $5 for kids. All of our Alexander kids are in for free. They'll have a pass, so they'll be able to show you that. It may not be a physical pass. It may be a copy, a photo of a pass. Yes, they can put it on their phones because they can have their phones at those events. And it's only for our kids. Visiting students will have to pay the admission price for a child. So
Good?
I'm good. That's enough.
Okay.
I just wanted to step in and just say thank you as well to both of them, the Porter family as well as Natalie. Porters are literally across the street, neighbors building. Ever since I've heard this, I've wanted to put a note in the mailbox, but I didn't know if it was appropriate, so I just want to make sure that they hear. That's amazing for not only the students themselves to go to it, but the athletes to get the support of their friends that may not have been able to attend. And that's amazing for our programs and our community, so thank you.
Okay, moving on, is there any public participation for agenda items? Thinking? No? Okay. Okay, moving on to treasurer's recommendations. It's recommended the Board of Education approve the minutes of the July 10th, 24 meeting.
Steven.
We got a motion for
Sorry.
So moved.
Seconded.
Steven.
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
Blake.
Yes.
Jay.
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
It's recommended the Board of Education approve the financial statement for the month ending July 31st, 24.
Seconded.
Steven.
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
Blake.
Yes.
Jay.
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
It's recommended the Board of Education approve the following transfers, and this is our normal school-wide pool transfers each month.
So moved.
Second.
Steven.
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
Blake.
Yes.
Jay.
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
It's recommended the Board of Education accept the following donations from the Alexander Band Boosters, $5,355 to the music program. And as mentioned, from Mark Porter Auto Group, $8,000 to the athletic fund for free student admission.
So moved, and thank you both again.
I'll second.
Steven.
Yes, and thank you.
Aaron. Yes. Blake.
Yes.
Jay.
Yes.
Josh.
Yes, and let me add my thanks as well.
It's recommended the Board of Education approve the following after-the-fact invoices. Meta Solutions, $28,160.05, North Central ESC, $9,968.06, and USI Insurance Services for $101,913. Since those are big amounts, can we talk about those or just a little bit?
Sure.
Just talk about the insurance one first, because that one's, as soon as people see that amount, they're going to be asking questions, and it's because it's huge.
Can we explain after the fact as we do that too, just so everybody understands that?
Okay, yeah. So when invoices come in, we should have a purchase order lined up to go before that. Sometimes they come in after the fact, or the date is different. So if the invoice came in and it's dated the 10th, but yet the service is from the 1st of the month, then it causes what is called a then and now to make the purchase legal. So our policy is if it's a then and now and it's over $3,000, you bring it back to the board for approval. So that's why it's after the fact. This is just our regular property auto liability insurance. The rates went up substantially, just like health insurance rates, so we were kind of fishing around, and we have a broker that searches for different companies for us. And two companies were merging, and they was gonna be the one that was giving us the best rate. So the price didn't come in before July 1, but yet this started July 1. Invoice didn't come till July 10th, where we knew the fact of the amount. So we went from like 92,000 last year to 101 this year. for the property and liability insurance.
So it took effect July 1st, but they didn't invoice us until, what'd you say, the 10th?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, 10, 12. So it caused the computer system to say a then and now needed to be stamped on it. And like I said, our policy says, bring it back to the board if it's over $3,000.
And what's
we
a
have
then
these
and now?
typically.
I know we've had them. I
Yeah.
just, what's a then and now?
It just says that the purchase, we had the money then and we have it now and we're approving it.
Okay. Is that basically just a legal way to get
Mhm.
around not having a purchase order
Yes,
before?
With the correct date.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So we
Because
could
the
have had a
date came-
PO, but the date may have been a little different.
Yeah,
And it doesn't mean necessarily that there wasn't a PO, and it doesn't mean that we didn't have it accounted for in our financial forecast or end of year.
no.
It just means that the invoice came in.
Yes,
with a
it's just a
different PO.
dating issue, a
Okay.
legal issue on Ohio Revised Code. and all that.
Again, we didn't have an
Okay.
invoice or purchase order in this case because we were shopping rates and trying to find a better rate. We
Right.
didn't know what.
We
it was gonna
weren't
be,
for sure
so we
what
were
the
trying to get a
company
better
was
rate.
gonna end up being, so we didn't have one lined out.
Good. And then the Meta Solutions, we didn't have a purchase order for that one, for what reason? I'm assuming that's why, was that the same reason? we had a
Yeah.
purchase order for that?
Yes, I'm not sure why it didn't get carried over. But it's our computer system that we use every year, so as again, it was a dating issue when they came in, the contract dates were from the beginning of the month instead of the date of the invoice, so the computer just generates that stamp.
So, you're saying Meta Solutions was like the insurance that the data service started before we got the invoice
Mhm.
to know what the cost was actually going to be?
Yeah,
And so the only way to, what would have had to have happened for that not to be presented to us to vote on?
not be in our policy to bring them back to you?
No, not that. I mean,
Oh, sorry.
no, the purchase order would have to, there would have to have been a purchase order done first?
Yeah. If the purchase order date is before the date they date the invoice, then it doesn't.
Then it's
conflict with
fine.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And this is something like Meta Solutions, I know we've used them for years.
Yeah.
So this is for something we've always used it for, but
Mhm.
we didn't get a purchase order done in time?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm still trying to understand, we didn't get a purchase order from Meta Solutions for what reason again? You're not quite sure, or?
I mean, I think there was one in there. It just, the date of the invoice, so it depends when they date their invoice and send it. The computer generates that then and now.
So there's no way really for us to avoid this sort of thing in the future?
I mean, we could have went back and asked them to redate the invoice and go through that hassle. I mean. I can do that if that's what you prefer, to not see them.
I think this is a pretty easy enough solution. That's what the policy's for, so.
It happens every once in a while. I mean,
Right.
you'll see a few throughout the year. Yeah, it's nothing new. Yeah, you'll see them throughout the year. Yeah. Yeah. It just, on a couple big ones all at once, so it seems.
And then the
Take one.
there was not a purchase order for that?
There was a purchase order. Again, they did the service before it got through.
Now, why was that one done afterwards? Because that one was, that's something we went out to do, right?
Yes.
Okay. So why was there not a PO on that one? What's the process of a PO, I guess, first? Like, what would be the process of
Well, if somebody wants to buy something, they start with a requisition, they put it in, Will approves that it's okay, I approve that we have the money to spend it, goes back to them, they get they should have a quote then, and then we'll, transfer it to a purchase order, then they can make the purchase, and then the invoice would come through. Should be after the date of that. So, just, the requisition didn't get put in for it.
And so with the tag audit, what was the process with that when they getting that purchase order put in?
I probably should just put it in.
Okay,
So,
but it goes, so a regular purchase order goes to you, and then you take it to her typically?
once it's put through.
Like, even if it's not you necessarily, but let's say we're, whatever we need, the process would be it goes to you and then to you and.
Yeah,
That's the way it
goes to
goes
Will
through
for
me
approval,
then through Kim.
and then to me
Janetta
for
as well.
approval, and then Johnetta processes
Okay,
it.
so
On
in this
out.
case, it just would've went to you to Kim, right? I mean, that's.
Yes.
There was nobody else needed to be involved in that one.
No.
Okay. Good? Okay, we had a motion, so I think I need
Oh.
a motion. I got the motion, need somebody to make the motion in a second.
I don't think we even had a motion.
Okay, I need a
I
motion.
will give the motion though.
Okay, I'll second.
Stephen,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
Superintendent's recommendations. It's recommended the Board of Education employ the following for the 24-25 school year pending their meeting all state and local requirements. Matt Ashcraft and Sophia Kinnett.
Yes.
Okay,
So moved.
second.
Stephen,
Yes, and welcome.
Aaron,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes, and welcome.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
Yes, Matt's here.
Matt is here. Yeah, last time I saw him, he was in the fatigues.
I
Welcome.
saw Miss Cannett last night, but she was surrounded by kids, so I didn't get to really introduce myself. But welcome.
It's recommended the Boards of Education employ the following for the 24-25 school year pending their meeting all state and local requirements. All effective August 14th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Stephen,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
It's recommended the Board of Education approve the following classification changes effective August 14th of 24. We got Beth De Benedetto to Media Specialist 2 from Media Specialist 1, and Carolee King to Head Cashier from Cook 2.
So moved. Seconded.
Stephen,
Yes.
Aaron, Blake,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
It's recommended the Board of Education approve the non-renewal of Cynthia Rogers, paraprofessional, effective the end of the 23-24 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Stephen,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
It's recommended the Board of Education grant a leave of absence to Jennifer Ray for the 24-25 school year.
So moved. Seconded.
Stephen,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
It's recommended the Board of Education accept the following supplemental resignations for the 24-25 school year.
So moved.
Seconded.
Stephen,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
It's recommended the Board of Education employ the following supplementals for the 24-25 school year pending their meeting all state and local requirements and the constitution of a full team for the season.
So moved. Seconded.
Stephen,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
It's recommended the Board of Education employ Danny Regan, co-8th grade girls basketball coach for the 24-25 school year, pending her meeting all state and local requirements and the constitution of a full team for the season.
So moved.
Seconded.
Stephen,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Blake,
Abstain.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
It's recommended the Board of Education approve the following event ticket prices for the 24-25 school year. Adults, $6, students, $5.
So moved.
Second.
Stephen,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
It's recommended the Board of Education approve adult school meal prices for the 24-25 school year at $2.85 for breakfast and $5.15 for lunch.
So moved.
Seconded.
Stephen,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
It's recommended the Board of Education approve the 24-25 parent-student handbook with changes as noted.
So moved.
Second.
Stephen,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
It's recommended the Board of Education approve the following policies for inclusion into the Policy and Procedures Manual as recommended by OSBA. And it's use of cell phone and electronic communication devices by students.
So moved.
Second.
Stephen,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
It's recommended the Board of Education approve the contract with Ohio Valley ESC for tag services for the 24-25 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Stephen,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
The addendum? Oh,
It's recommended the Board of Education adopt the resolution authorizing a contract with Weatherproofing Technologies, Inc. for the replacement of the elementary building roof.
So moved.
Seconded.
Stephen,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.
Thank you for your work on that, Brian. Very comprehensive. Thank you.
Okay, business initiated by board members. Need a delegate appointment for OSBA annual business meeting.
Now, just to point out to everybody, I brought it up to Kim just to see if there was a mistake. It is on Veterans Day, if people have plans for that day. Just to, if you notice that, I want to point that out. I know I will have plans on that day. So I'm going to remove myself from contention.
Well, normally, Blake, what we do is the newest person on the board gets assigned.
I'm pretty sure that changed this year, didn't it? Yeah.
So I nominate Stephen to be our delegate for.
You would.
You need a second?
Is that okay, Steve? I jokingly say that, but that's the way it's been. Is I think the first year on the board.
It's a Monday, yeah.
Yeah, it's Veterans Day. It's Monday the 11th.
It is a Monday. That conference happens that time regardless.
Yeah.
So they are consistent with that. They're always there during that window, and there are times that it does fall on Veterans Day.
Veterans Day.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pull it up here on my calendar.
What you should have said is, Josh, you're volunteering?
Yeah. I can do it.
You do it? All right. Thank you. You have any board reports?
The only thing I want to just put out to the public, if you haven't seen it, is tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. There's the ribbon cutting for the first part of the inclusive playground happening. So if anybody hasn't paid attention yet, hopefully, and if you haven't heard yet, I don't know why you'd be listening to this, but 5:30 tomorrow behind the school ribbon cutting ceremony. Nationwide Children's Hospital is sponsoring a DJ and I think refreshments. Happy to have you there and celebrate a very new and exciting asset to our community. So I don't know if that's a report or not, but that's where I thought
Nope,
I
but
would put it.
it's a good comment. Anybody else? Okay. Public participation for non-agenda items.
Apologize. I read the agenda and totally missed that the cell phone thing was on there as an agenda item. I just want to speak. I teach preschool here. My name's Laura Picard, but tonight I'm speaking as a parent. My son is going into 11th grade, and I am concerned about the cell phone policy of that they are supposed to be in their lockers all day, not on their person. I think that student engagement is obviously crucial, and I know that when we were in school, playing on your cell phone wasn't really an option. If the teacher was boring, you doodled or daydreamed, and now the chance is there that if they're not engaged, they're right there. But I also know that it is possible to keep them engaged. Every year, different subjects, different classes, different teachers, there have been periods that he never texted me. Never texted me during science with Miss Jordan, never texted me during English with Mrs. Bush, never texted me during math with Mrs. Matheny. You know, and there were others with social studies with Mr. Crow. There were others that kept him engaged and or enforced the cell phone policy and did it in a respectful way that didn't get his little teenage hackles up. And so I think that it is important to realize that it is possible to say no cell phones during instruction time and enforce it and have the kids engaged. It just takes work. My biggest concern from a parent is as a safety concern. How many school shootings, which we all hope never happens, but how many of them have the authorities been notified first by kids with cell phones? How many of them have kids with cell phones been able to say, the shooter's in the junior high hallway, and then the elementary kids can run? Or, you know, they're on the phone with 911 and they're saying, okay, it's safe, we know that the shooter's here, so it's safe for you to leave now. I just think that saying, stick them in their lockers, don't mess with them, is not the most, I feel like it's not, it hasn't really been given a chance for all the teachers to get on board in the high school saying, okay, this is our policy and we're actually gonna try and enforce it. I don't see why they can't have them at lunch. I don't see why they can't have them during non-instruction time. If they're not being taught, and obviously not abusing it, and I understand, you know, that there's cyberbullying and all of that, but if they're just sitting there on their phones because there's no teacher teaching them, they don't have work to do, or it's their lunchtime. I mean, that's their break. A lot of kids that are growing up in this era use those phones and use those devices for that mental break or that anxiety release. The idea that there's phones in every classroom so parents can call in and leave a message for their kid to get during the day, I mean, that's not, I don't think that the office staff or the teachers have the ability to really pass on all of the messages, you know, whether it's my sibling, you know, hey, just so you know, your sibling was sick, so they're not gonna be on the bus today, so that older sibling isn't going, no, you can't leave, my little brother isn't here. I think, you know, whether it's somebody who gets a message from work, hey, you don't have to come to work today, because we have a lot of teenagers here in the high school who work. I just think that that it would be worthwhile to say, let's take the cell phone policy that we've had, which is no phones during instruction time, and let's really try and enforce it. I know there have been issues with state testing, and I'm all for state testing, lock them up, put them in their lockers during that, but I just don't think that the safety issues and the anxiety that it produces in kids these days to not have access to their devices, even if it is just in their pockets, it just isn't, to me, worth it. And Governor DeWine has said every school needs to have a cell phone policy, trying to minimize cell phone usage during school hours. But it doesn't say that every school has to say there's no cell phones during school hours. And that's something that I think is not clear to many people, having talked to people about it. I think for elementary school, it's a little bit different. They don't have so much of that class changing. I know my son, he's like, how am I gonna know my schedule? Like, that's what he does. He has his schedule on his phone. He goes from class to class. Where am I going to next? I'm like, you're gonna have to have a paper schedule. And he's like, I always lose paper stuff. It is small things that I think, I feel like it's at least worth a try to say, all right, we had a cell phone policy, let's actually try and enforce it. And I just wanted to share my thoughts with that because it is something that I feel strongly about.
Thank you.
Laura?
Okay. Anything else before we move on?
I just want to address that those are some things that I know that were talked about, and I know that this is a topic that will be addressed and continually addressed, but we need to start somewhere and see where we can go from it. And so I think your concerns are heard, not ignored, and we will continue to work at what is the best for those students, all of our students, and some of the times, like you said, your son was losing papers. I was reading something just last night, because you had reached out to me, and so I had a little bit of a warm up to this. So I was doing some research, and it was one of those things. You said something about losing papers, and it was one of those things that might be one of those skills that we want students to gain back. I'm not gonna lie, my phone went off at 5:15 to warn me that in an hour and 45 minutes I had a board meeting to remind me to stop doing the laundry and all that other stuff I was doing at home. So, because without that, I probably would have been late. So I think there's some positives that we can look at. There's always going to be some negatives in every decision, but it's finding that right balance, and I think we're going to, as a district, continue to work towards that right balance. So, thank you.
Okay, our next meeting is scheduled Wednesday, September 10th? The 10th. Okay, anybody have any issues with that date? Okay, I don't foresee, no, I'm showing September 11th as the Wednesday, that's why I hesitated. Unless my phone is wrong. See, we all look at our phone as a calendar. Yeah, okay, so it's September 11th, 7 o'clock here in the library. Okay. I'll make a motion, we enter executive session to discuss the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of an employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against an employee or official.
So moved.
Seconded.
Yes.
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 Thank you, everyone. All right, it's 9:18. Enter back into regular session, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Steven,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Josh.
Yes.